Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. Yeah, where the sun is still shining, but winter's on its way, and it's Saturday, and I have two very interesting gentlemen in the studio with me today. I love it, my studio. Of course, our resident mental health expert, Dr. Jerry, and very interesting guest, Jeff Newton, who joins us this evening. And in fact, we've all been talking behind the scenes a little bit, and Jeff has recovered from intrusive thoughts mainly, and I guess a bit of voices in the head too, and really has a very, very interesting story to tell about how he overcame that. And Jerry has a lot to add to that as well. So, very interesting conversation, difference between intrusive thoughts and voices in the head. Is there a difference or isn't there? If you guys watched my show with Sherry Sweeney the other day, she was also a guest with Dr. Jerry a couple of weeks back. Very, very interesting indeed. So she also talks about that. So if you guys missed that show, please go and watch it. Hello, everybody. Lisa D, Truth Shiv Shakti, Charmaine, so nice to see you all. Kyle, I think you might still be here. Okay, then I have Dr. Jerry and Jeff. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you? So nice that I have you both with me this evening. Usually I have the ladies here. So I've got the gents today. So I feel like really happy. How are you guys doing?
Good. So I've been telling you guys about the voices that schizophrenics hear for a long time. And they are the cause of schizophrenia. It's not a chemical imbalance of the brain. That's a lie made up by Eli Lilly back in the 70s when they came out with Prozac. And the drug companies just ran with it because they were making a fortune on it. You know, right now they're making $11 billion a year selling antipsychotic drugs that don't get rid of the voices, that don't cure schizophrenia, that don't do anything except, kind of tamp down the symptoms. Okay, and
Absolutely.
we were talking a little bit about intrusive thoughts and psychotic voices. Well, they come from the same source, but they're different intensity. Okay, what I found is everybody is hit by negative intrusive thoughts, and one of the biggest ones I can remember is I was in the backyard, and here in Arizona we don't have lawns because there's not enough water, so we chop the cactus down with machetes and just trim to keep the cactus under control. So I'm in the backyard with a machete chopping back the cactus, and my dog runs by, who's a beautiful white husky. She just runs by. I got the machete up above me, cutting cactus, and here comes this intrusive thought come barreling through my mind, chop her head off. And I'm like shocked. I'm just absolutely shocked. I knew it didn't come from me, but it was still shocking. Right? That's an intrusive thought. It comes from them. These negative entities can put these negative thoughts in your thought stream, and they want it to appear as if they belong to you. If you buy that, they got you. Right? You're done. They got you. So you have to know your true nature. And there's only two people I know who have actually seen these things. One is Lynn Monet, who was she's a nurse, and the second one is Jeff, who joins us today. And when I heard his story, I said, Jeff, people need to know your story. They need to know about what you actually saw. Because Jeff was, I believe, diagnosed schizophrenic. He was put on those toxic medications, but he was able to see these entities one night when he got out of his body. Now, this is the second time I've heard a story of somebody who was being attacked by these things, and they got out of their body and they saw something hunched over them talking to them. And I think the first one was, who was Monroe, Robert Monroe. He said one night, an entity that looked like an angel was over him, whispering, "You got 1 year to live." And he came out of his body and he saw this thing and he was shocked that it looked like an angel. And he was furious and he threw the thing out and ordered it never to come back. So they can take different forms. Okay? Now, Jeff is the only second person beside Lynn. And we talked to Lynn, I think, a year ago, you said, Chantel?
Yeah, Lynn's been on a couple of times, Lynn Manet.
So Jeff is the second one who has actually seen these things attacking him while he was with a diagnosis of schizophrenia. So Jeff, how about starting maybe a year or two before this happened to you and kind of recount the events that led up to this, you know, your diagnosis, your experience with psychiatry, and then finally actually witnessing these things that were actually speaking to you.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'll start I'll just start with my childhood. It's kind of normal, middle class income, poor neighborhood, but middle class income. My parents had middle class money, so we didn't do without, but we still lived in a poor neighborhood. But I was a good kid. I was an introvert, real quiet, good-hearted kid. Now my parents they're little, like my dad's a Vietnam vet, 3 tours, 4 Purple Hearts, and we couldn't even wake him up as a kid. He would punch you. So he was that traumatized from Vietnam. My mom, she's a narcissistic, so I had a pretty rough upbringing, put it that way. Anyway, I was a good kid, and probably about, I don't know, my teen year, I'd say about 14, 15, I started to go down a path of like, you know, I got tired of being like kind of overlooked, being an introvert. So I wanted to be popular and get with that crowd. So I did. And it was a group that, had a lot of bad, there's a lot of drugs and alcohol and partying. And even, I was in a group where there's even violence and stuff like that. It was a really bad path. I was going pretty much totally away from who I really was, put it that way. Down inside, I'm just really drifting from who I really am. And I don't know, it's about 20. I was around probably 19, 20, and I'm 57 now, so that's how long it is. So, and I started to like worry about. I started to get fearful. I think this was like the doorway to a lot of this, because I started to get real fearful of like dying. I never really thought about it. And because I was always in bad situations at that time, because I was kind of in a rough crowd. And I always feared, like, someone could come behind me, shoot me, kill me any second. It was just, so I started really thinking about death. And then it started really mess with me. So I watched this documentary on Nostradamus. And it was going into the end times and apocalypse and, things that I never really knew about, so it really scared me. And it really did something to my psyche. And it was like soon after that, like, I don't know. It's like, that's like a landmark, because I knew it was right after that. I just started having these thoughts, like intense, like out of nowhere. I mean, it was insane. It was, and here's another landmark that kind of set me off. I was at work with a buddy of mine. I worked at a grocery store at the time, and I stocked shelves. So I had a cutter, cut boxes open. And it's like you were talking about, Jerry, chopping up with a machete. Thought came so strong and just clear through my head, like it was my own voice, like slice his throat. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what's so spooky about it. It sounds like just like you. It sounds like the thousands of other thoughts that you have coming through your mind anytime, but it's inserted in there.
Oh yeah, and it will fool you if you're not careful. And,
yes,
but mine, they were so extreme that it kind of blew the cover for him in a sense, because I started to seek God. So I was anchoring in God. I was just crying out to God, reading scriptures. And I knew that these weren't me. They were so intense, and they were just so vile. You know what I mean? It's like they played their hand too hard.
Too strongly.
Yeah, because I was like, this is not me. But they were constant. I mean, I'm talking nonstop, probably every couple seconds.
And it was always negative crap too, wasn't it? Constant negative.
Perverted stuff you wouldn't even think of. I mean, I couldn't even say it on air. It's just so nasty. And
so the psychiatric mafia insists that these voices are auditory hallucinations.
Yeah.
But
at the time, I would have thought that. Well, if I didn't have that spiritual experience. Now, I never did get medically treated. I went for depression, or years earlier.
Yeah.
But another theme with those are suicide. I mean, I remember harsh themes of suicide.
That's two things. So if they were hallucinations are random. They're all over the place. Some are good, some are bad, some are neutral. These are consistently negative.
Oh yeah. There's no positive in them.
So you have to ask your question: what is it that holds them on a consistently negative path? Why aren't they good sometimes? Why aren't they neutral sometimes? No, they're consistently negative.
Yes.
The second thing you mentioned with the suicide, those thoughts have to come into your head before you can act on them.
Yeah.
Right now in the United States, there's almost 50,000 people a year kill themselves, and they kill themselves due to these thoughts that come in there, telling you you're no good, you're worthless, you're stupid, nobody likes you, you have no place here. Just go ahead and get it over with.
Oh yeah.
So these are the same things that we're talking about. These are the things that psychiatry refuses to acknowledge, and so do many of the churches.
Oh, and I could attest to it, the spiritual nature of it, because I didn't know they're just thoughts. You think they're just your thoughts, but they're intense. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to be in touch with God and my inner self enough to see that these are foreign, even though they didn't sound foreign, they didn't feel foreign, they didn't act. They acted foreign in their nature, but you feel like they're part of you. They're there all the time.
Yeah.
And then I ended
Jeff,
up.
I would like to, if you don't mind, if you wouldn't mind just reversing a little bit for me. You mentioned that the first sort of milestone that you realized things started spiraling. Was it in a movie you watched? You said The Apocalypse or something to do with what was that you watched that opened that gate?
I can't remember the exact title, but it was a documentary dealing with Nostradamus, if you're familiar with him.
I know Nostradamus.
Yeah, and it was dealing with his end time prophecies and the things that are supposed to happen that he saw and things like that. And it's basically just is parallel to Revelations. If you know the Book of Revelations, a lot of parallels with his predictions in the Book of Revelations. So it just really played on my fear that I was feeling anyway, and because it was really an intense one on the end time. So kind of shook me up.
Were you, as a matter of interest, were you taking drugs at the time? Were you in a sober state of mind, or were you quite open?
I wasn't a drug user, so it was it was more recreational or periods. I do it heavy and then back off. It wasn't like I was addicted at all. And in this period, I wasn't. No, I was just working and doing my thing. It wasn't connected to the drugs at all at that period. Now, maybe some of my bad emotions and feelings back when I was younger were, I'm sure, but
carried along. Yeah.
So I ended up. What happened? I mean, these thoughts were so intense. I mean, they're brutal. They're not merciful either. There's no mercy in their approach.
Jeff, could you let the people know what they were telling you?
Oh, it would just be things like, you're an asshole, you're an idiot. I mean, just constant, just nuts. Like, look at that dumbass over there. Won't you go, just crazy shit, like constantly. Like, you're just like,
yeah, you're crazy, you're stupid, you're ugly, nobody likes you, you're worthless. You're
an idiot, You just admit you're an idiot. Just admit you're an idiot, Look what you did. Look how you forgot this, or look what, look what you did back here. You're an idiot.
So they would jump on stuff you did in the past and then blame you for it.
Oh yeah, and try to take you down a road to kill your self-esteem, to kill your confidence.
Right. And, so they could go in there. They could go in there and bring up everything rotten you did in the past and throw it in your face until they generated that negative emotion that they feed off of.
Oh yeah,
guilt.
And they know everything about it. That's the convincing part, because that's what, you know what I mean. They're not just coming at you with some out there theory.
They're not guessing.
They're picking things that only you know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So that makes you think it must be you.
Exactly. It's so
devious,
personalized that that only you know. So it even makes it more convincing if you allow it, because you're
Right.
like, oh, man, no one else would even know that. How would
Right. So it's got to be me because
it's got to be
nobody
me?
else
Yeah,
knew it. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it just
they're
tries
very
to,
devious. They're very sly.
yeah. And and I knew, I knew it was a spiritual nature. I just didn't know what. I didn't know any details. And back when I was back then, like out of body experiences weren't around. We didn't have the internet, and you know what I mean. I didn't really even know about that at all. I didn't until probably not that long ago realize what it was. Well, probably a few years ago, but I just knew it happened. I left my body, but it wasn't talked about back then. You know what I mean? I just thought, man, I had this experience, and
Just
now
took
I
you
know.
by surprise.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you about that. I was working, and I worked a physical job back then, and I was really tired. And I remember coming in from work, and I laid on my bed, and I just fell asleep, like quick. And all of a sudden I get up, and I start to walk toward like the bathroom. I turn around, and I see my whole body on the bed, and I was just like, wow, I started looking at my hands. I'm like, I had hands, and I looked down at my feet, and I had like this little circle of light all around me. It's like a perfect diameter of probably a foot, 2 foot around me. And then I looked to the sides of me, and there's all these like imp-like demons. I was telling Jerry at one point, they look like if you had Spider-Man, outfit. You ever see Spider-Man shape with this little head and body, and they kind of look like little black Spider-Man. And they were all around me. I mean, they're literally on both sides of me. So I notice them, I look, and then I start to walk down the hallway. And as I take a step, one would jump out, and it would just say something, just hideous. It would jump back into the crowd. I walk a little further, another one would jump out, say something just nasty, hideous, and run back into the crowd. So I went down the hallway, did that, and came back, and it was same thing. And then I just had said the scripture. I was like, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. And it was like you threw hot water on them, man. They just hissed and back, like I just took hot water and threw it on all of them. And they just their reaction was just, they hated it. And I did that, and then I got back in my body. I got up in the physical, and none of that was there. So yeah,
that matches the accounts of a lot of schizophrenics I dealt with who said they hear scores of these things.
Oh, gosh,
it's not just one or two. It's like a mob of them that are hitting from different directions. It kind of matches your story.
That was my experience, yeah. And I'm glad I went the route I did, because I sought God. That was my anchor. If I didn't do that, I mean, but it humbled me. If you knew me before that, because I went down a path of just being arrogant and just angry and kind of nasty. I was a nice guy, fun to be around, but I knew who I was, and it was, wasn't happy with who I was. And this process really humbled me as a person. I mean, I see the work of God in it, and that it was, I mean, it humbled me as a person. I'll never be the same ever. I mean, it took things away from me that only God can do. You know what I mean? I mean,
I love the experience you had, because when it's almost like God gave you an aerial view, a bird's eye view of what was actually going on. And what I also love about your story is that you always knew who you were. It's like you had a strong enough sense of self to understand that this is actually not me. Something dodgy is going on here. Yeah. And that you, even though it was strong, the voices and the impetus was really strong, you still had the discernment to realize what was going on. And it's almost like because of that, you were then able to see also with your physical eyes the picture of what was going on. And just that truth dissolved everything. It's like, oh, okay, now I know.
Exactly.
Bye, guys. Get out of here. Fuck off. Yeah. Excuse me. F off. Go play in another place. That is amazing. And that's why, it's stories like that that's when I say the truth sets us free.
Yeah.
When we are willing to see the truth of what's really going on, and we've actually done the spiritual work to have that strength, that inner resolve that enables you to be grounded enough to perceive that and therefore change it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's amazing.
That is truly, that is a gift, because I know obviously on this channel, as our viewers also know, there's a lot of survivors. We work with SRA survivors, lots of CSA, all survivors from all walks of life. And there's so much of that. But many of them have been satanically abused since birth. So they literally have these entities already in their energy that's been spliced in there by their handlers and it's horrific.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I also know that even though it's harder for the survivors to process that and get rid of those things, it's very possible. And that's why I love hearing stories like yours, because I think your story certainly holds a lot of water and, has you have the lived experience of it. So it's not just something theoretical in your mind. It's the lived experience.
Yeah,
Very
Jeff,
cool.
you knew that this wasn't a dream.
No.
It was sharper. It was crisper. It was clearer. You saw your body in the bed just like an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
But you didn't show any fear toward these entities when you walked down the hall.
Yeah,
okay?
Not at all.
That's it.
You saw what they were, and you knew what they were, and you knew where those voices were now coming from.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you respond after that? Because they probably didn't go away right away.
No.
Okay, no. But you knew what they were.
Yeah.
What's your story after this happened? What did you experience once you knew what they were?
Oh, well, it was because at that point I was really heavy in church, and I just saw God. Honestly, that's all. I didn't care about anything else, and so I just went on with normal life, working, going to church, things like that. But that's what I'd like to tell people, to not give up, because this lasted like over a year. So I was still going to church. I was still going to work. I was still doing everything. I just ignore them, God didn't take it away immediately. He gave me that experience, let me see what I was dealing with. But I begged him to take that away, because it's horrible. I mean, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. And he didn't, but I kept my faith. I didn't never believe him, and I just basically ignore him. You just ignore him. And I mean, I could be talking to you, and there would be, say I was in that period right now, there would be thoughts just going crazy right now, if I was there. That's how it was. And you would never know, because you know what I mean? I didn't react to any of them. So, but yeah, I just kept my faith, and all of a sudden it's probably about it. I mean, I'd be going to church and be saying stuff bad about the pastor, you know what I mean? While I'm sitting in church. Yeah.
I noticed that too. They hate, how did they react when you went to church?
How they react?
Yeah. How'd they react on your way to church and once you got there?
With me, it didn't really, because I was going to church constantly. So I would go to like 3 times a week. So it just seemed pretty normal, but they didn't really change their behavior. Really, it was just directed at the people at church. They didn't really step up their game, because it was pretty at a high level anyway. You know what I mean?
So what they say about the pastor?
Oh, just stupid. He's an effing hypocrite. You should go out and punch him in his face. Just crazy stuff. Or looking at sluts sitting over there. You're just like, come on.
Go punch him in the face.
Realize the severity of this, man. I'd just be sitting there, and you have no clue. But I could see someone that believe it.
Yeah.
If they believe it, you're in trouble. You're going to go down a bad road. You basically can't believe anything they say.
Right.
That's what I would tell people that are doing. Just don't believe what they say, man. Don't even give them time.
So how would you respond to the ones I told them to that? I mean, I've told scores of people they're liars. You can't believe anything they say.
No.
But they would come back and go, well, they're so damn convincing. How would you respond to that?
I would say they are convincing, and I think because they mimic your voice. They know everything about you. They're playing off of all your emotions, all your past. they know it. They know it as well as you do, and they're intelligent beings. So, and I'd say they work together. So yeah, you're not just fighting one; you're probably fighting multiple. So yeah, you can't believe them. You can't try to match wits with them. Don't try to match wits with them. You're not going to win.
You know what? Why I'm chuckling? Because that term, why don't you just go punch him in the face? I hear that, and I've been a healer for 30 years, okay? I have heard men use that exact line over and over. It's like they'll say when they get drunk, like, for it often, drugs or alcohol often, and they'll just get this desire to fight. And I just got this desire to punch this guy in the face. And it's like, I really think there are spirits of those little dodgy things that literally use those words because, and especially, I mean, we know that alcohol does that. I mean, alcohol, we know the ghoul energy, right? Which is that demonic energy that literally takes over the body when you're so plastered, you don't know what you're doing, and literally then do things that you have no idea you've done, totally out of character for yourself. And the next morning, you can't imagine how the hell I even did that.
Yeah.
I've seen that so often. Yeah. Thank God that's never been my issue. I have never had addictions. I mean, I have addictions, but not alcohol.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So, Jeff, what happened when you were drinking and hearing these things?
Ooh, back in the day?
Yeah. What was that like?
Well, no, when I was hearing those things, I wasn't drinking, so I wasn't partying. So my adolescence, my teen years, that when I was really wild and stuff, they're kind of aligned with some of that stuff, but they were controlled by me. You know what I mean? They weren't, I would be angry. I'd be doing this. I'd be, and alcohol always fed to that, and drugs. You'd feel, you'd say and do things you really didn't want to do. But when that started, it was weird because it came on all of a sudden like a storm. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, it wasn't progressive for me. It was just an instant.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, it was an instant, man. It came out of nowhere. And I think that's like, I think I was telling you, Jerry, that kind of showed her hand a little, because it was so
strong,
so intense, different. so fast, so different. Yeah. It wasn't my normal, day-to-day thinking. And then just looking to God. I mean, I didn't have any role models or anything like that. I didn't have any, and we didn't have the resources back then either, unless you go to a library, So I'm glad because I just sought God, and that was the key, and have faith, and be persistent because He didn't remove it right away. I mean, I didn't get, what I mean? People that might be dealing with this, don't give up because mine was like over a year and a half. Well, I wouldn't say over a year and a half. I'd say between a year and a half and a year, somewhere in that.
And when they disappeared, did they disappear gradually or did they disappear all at once?
All at once, it seemed like it was
just like they came on. They disappeared all at once, huh?
Well, it was if I remember right, it was the intensity lessened, and then they were gone. Kind of like it just almost like a slow drip, maybe just, and then it was gone.
Yeah. That's what
your
I
vibration
noticed.
Changed.
Yeah.
The minute your vibration changed, because everything is energy, sound, and vibration, right? So the minute you saw the truth, your vibration changed. It's almost like you lifted, like you start flying, right?
Yeah.
They can't touch you anymore. It's exactly that I say all the time. The minute we change the frequency, the vibration within you, your core truth, that changes your entire reality in the physical realm in a minute. And it's exactly what you say, where suddenly they were gone, and then they were obviously trying to get you, and they go, I can't get him anymore. Okay, let's go and find some other sucker.
Like they gave up. Yeah, like it was like, it's useless now. He's
I've seen them.
He's in the mob. I've seen that. The mob guys, they're untouchable. Yeah,
I've seen that same thing happen where, like you, they just kept going to church, kept praying, just kept it up, and they slowly just kind of gave up and left. And there was one fella I remember who did this. He got rid of them, and then he was so lonely and isolated that he asked for them to come back, and they did.
Yeah, they're probably waiting at the
Yeah,
waiting at the gate, like, oh yeah, just give
Right.
me that
But
invitation.
it was probably the intrusive thoughts that got him to believe that he was lonely, though. I would imagine that, you see, that's the thing with stuff like this. If you don't change the life, it's one thing getting rid of an entity. Now you have to maintain the frequency in your
Yeah.
life, in your daily actions, in how you live your life, that you remain above that. If
Yeah.
you don't, you're obviously going to go back. It'll give you temporary relief. But as you then go back into your old ways and your old patterns, of course they're going to be waiting there for you. They're like predators. It's like trying to tell a lion not to hunt.
Yeah.
I mean, these things are energy predators. They are vampires.
Oh,
so
you saying the predator? Sorry, because I left this out. But when I had that experience, and you saying this is amazing, because they looked at me like a predator. Every single one of them going down that hallway, looking in their eyes, it was like hate, and I'm like a rabbit, and they're a wolf, going to just tear me apart. But yeah, that you're exactly. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was
no.
Absolutely. I felt like that's kind of a key to their nature. You know what I mean? That they have that predatory vibe.
And could you feel your energy leaving as they were attacking you?
Oh yeah, it drained me.
That's common.
Oh God, I felt. I mean, you feel like. I mean, it's really a type of hell, to be honest. I mean, you're living in a type of hell. You're probably in a hellish experience, and and I think that's what was good for me for my spiritual self. You know what I mean? Because I think it purged a lot of things that needed purge. I don't think I ever would have been humbled like I was. It brought me literally to my, you know what I mean? I dropped all the false stuff, all the things I was hinged on, but. I can see where they would destroy you if you allow it, though.
No doubt.
Question.
And I've seen that hatred that you were speaking of. I mean, I have never felt such dark hatred, and it's given me goosebumps just thinking about it. It's this deep, dark, endless hatred. It was just, I've never felt any hatred like it. I was looking into this one guy's eyes, and it was just like these massive, deep, dark holes of just hatred. I've never experienced hatred like that in my entire life, ever.
Yeah, it's like the light's gone in there.
Yeah, there's no light whatsoever there. None.
As an entity, they just totally...
Exactly. Darkness, black hole, sucks you in.
Oh,
dark, cold hatred.
Yeah, it's it's sad, because I think a lot of people do. Like we were talking earlier, like I can look at things now, and people will be feeling and thinking things real intensely, and I'm like, I kind of know what could be influencing it, even though they don't, they're not having the same near experience, but just knowing the nature of what's around us now, and how they act, and what we see and we can't see, makes you look at things a little different when you hear other people going through some things. And
Jeff, did you ever go to one of your preachers and tell him about this stuff?
Yeah,
how'd they react?
I kind of, because I went to Pentecostal churches, and they're real charismatic, and they're not really deep in knowledge, so they would just be, try to be supportive and be like, oh, it's the devil, and they act more like a dream or an experience, like that. They didn't see at all the
reality.
The reality of it. They just thought it would be like, it's like a spiritual, because with Pentecostal, it's the devil, everything's the devil. So, they weren't highly critical, but they weren't supportive,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I've mentioned it to different people over the years, and I've got just, you get a wide range of responses to it. Most people are bewildered, even if they're willing to listen to you, they're just kind of like, what? But yeah, you get negative responses, and I can't just tell people this, but you know what I mean? I've had to hold this stuff in for a long time, but I have had moments where I've expressed it to certain people, and it's usually not. There's not really a big support group.
Yeah.
Do you have a family, right?
Yeah.
Like a wife, kids.
Yeah.
How do you find? I mean, did this ever affect your relationship in any way? Were you in a relationship when you still had the voices? I guess I want to ask you. I'm interested to know how you would have dealt with that, or your
Oh,
partner deals with that.
yeah, they hate partners. They hate kids.
Yeah. Yeah. At that time, I wasn't in a relationship. So,
Good.
I did end up getting married. I had a first wife, and she was in church, and it was during the end of that period. And it didn't really affect our relationship because it didn't affect me. You know what I mean? I had control of it.
Right.
So people wouldn't even know, what I was going through. Now she knew, but she was understanding of it. She knew the spiritual nature of things. So it wasn't really a problem with that relationship. But yeah, I can see where it would be with. Yeah, I could definitely interfere with the flow of a relationship for sure. Yeah. It
Yeah, I
depending,
can
I guess,
imagine.
how you handle it. If you need to talk to somebody, or you can. I just didn't. I wasn't one that really had to talk to people about it. I just really sought God and analyze myself kind of person. So, but I would see if you had to vent and tell people all the time, it would be rough because a lot of people don't. They're not really. Some, even the ones that are open don't have a lot of times the understanding to accept it at the level that you would want them to either. But they'll hear you out. But yeah, you might not get, you won't get the support.
Right.
Jerry's like a great, it's awesome even being able to talk to him about anything. Cause yeah, you probably know Jerry, just that subject just is. Yeah.
I've seen it all. I've seen it all for years, decades. So what would be your response to psychiatry if they telling you that what you saw was a hallucination?
Oh, I'd say that's ridiculous. Yeah, yeah. In my experience, I can't speak for because I don't know everyone's approach or what they think. But if someone was to say it was hallucinations to me, I would be like, no, it wasn't. Or it was, fabricated or whatever. There's no way. It was real experiences, and that out of body experience was a real out of body experience.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
You'll never forget it. If you ever, I mean, it's the only one I've ever had, but you'll never forget something like that. It's real.
I've had only one.
Yeah,
and
that's me too.
It's very, very different.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
it's not an illusion. It's not. You can't.
No.
I've had vivid dreams.
It's more real than now.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. It is more. I would say the same.
More real, more succinct, more detailed, more vivid.
Yeah, intense. It felt like really intense, like the world was alive to me. You know what I mean? Like it was just everything around me had more life to it. But I've had vivid dreams. You know what I mean? I do vivid dreams a lot.
It's very different than a vivid dream.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a whole nother ball game. And
so, what would you had you gone to a psychiatrist? They would have diagnosed you paranoid schizophrenic, and they would have put you on heavy tranquilizers. You would have been doped up out of your skull. How do you think that would have affected your recovery?
Oh, it probably wouldn't have recovered. I probably wouldn't have recovered because the recovery was spiritual. It was a don't believe them. It was a revelation of the nature of what they are, and it was seeing the need that you need a power beyond yourself to battle it.
Yes.
And drugs wouldn't work, in my opinion.
No.
It might give you some sleep, maybe, and make you, give you a little bit of rest from some of the thoughts, maybe. But they're not going to leave.
No,
and
they don't.
If you go through that experience, they don't leave. They're not. They're just waiting right there until you get conscious enough, probably to get back right on the battlefield in your head.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you think you would have reacted to their common response to your symptoms? They would have said your brain is broken, you have a chemical imbalance, that the only thing you can do is take these drugs.
Oh yeah.
How would you have felt had they told you that this is a lifetime condition It's never going to go away. You just have to keep taking these toxic drugs.
Yeah. Knowing what I know now, I would be like, you're ridiculous. But at the time, I could see where they hoodwink people into it, because you don't, you trust the system, you trust people, you trust all the other professionals. So yeah, I would, at the time, if I didn't have the experience I had, I could see where people could go that route, because you're desperate, you want help.
Millions do.
You really want help, and when you're in that spot, you're needing something, and
you don't know
I
where
just
to
knew,
turn.
I just knew it was beyond me. I knew that to really get help from what I was dealing with was going to have to be something big. So, but I could easily see where somebody would, because you're so desperate for help, you just want somebody to understand, to help, and you want relief, because it's intense. I mean, I'll never forget it. Like I'm speaking about it, and I'm 57, and it was when I was like 20, and it's as if it happened today. I mean, it's that
Right.
impacting, it did that much. I feel like it was a spiritual fire to purge me, honestly, but I can look back, and it was just as, that's why I'm speaking about now, because it was that real and that intense, and you'll never forget it. And it's like burned into your spirit, these experiences. And I feel for anybody going through it. It's intense.
Jeff, did you ever hear them outside of your head, or was it always inside?
Always inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I noticed is when they really feel that they have control and they got you under control, they will move outside and start speaking to you from outside your head. And that's when there's no doubt that it's something other than you.
Wow.
But they don't do that until they feel they have complete control over you, or pretty much complete control. And then that scares people half to death.
Yeah.
Now they know that it's not them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 And then you're like, how do you get rid of it?
Yeah. And it's strong at that point. It's very strong, because they don't do that until they feel they have pretty good control over you.
Yeah. It's an experience, man. I feel for anybody going through it.
It's horrible,
because you can't get any, now you go through people with depression or just anxiety or whatever, they at least can talk to somebody, our system set up where at least can vent. You can't vent you can't vent that stuff away. There's no talk.
You get
no relief. You get no relief. And then the few that you do know don't understand, and they can't get on that level with you to even take any of that burden from you. So it's rough, man. I feel for anybody that would be going through that.
It's very isolating.
Have you ever, with your family, have you experienced anything like that, like with your offspring or anything? And I think what's interesting here again, and I ask you that because you mentioned your beginnings, right?
Yeah.
That were a little bit rough. Your mom was a narcissist. Your dad was from the military, and obviously, I can just imagine. What you said there actually broke my heart. It's like you couldn't wake him up, because he would literally, obviously, from the try and kill you just about.
Yeah.
For me as a kid, the greatest memories I have in the morning, growing up with my parents, and especially cold, running into their bedroom and climbing into the bed with them, and then fighting with my siblings about who was going to be in the middle. That is such a beautiful way to connect with parents. And I can imagine that, and I say again, this is why when we look at the upbringing of the child and you look at the trauma the child went through and the fear, it creates the gap in the psyche, right? For these entities to enter. So it's really cool to see you've used your experience in the way that you have. Really, it is. It's amazing. And I know today's the first time you're actually talking on a podcast.
Yeah,
so I'm very grateful that you're speaking with us.
Yeah, I'm glad I appreciate you having me on here. I enjoy telling the story to people that understand it. That's why it's easy for me on this podcast, because it's,
Which have thousands of people are going to be able to relate to your experience. that
Yeah.
otherwise wouldn't have got it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
This is very important information.
Yeah,
You know,
if it helps anybody,
Yes.
yeah, I'll tell it to, you know what I mean?
it's
Yeah.
Do you
it's
work with people, Jeff? Do you work
No,
with people who've is there anything you do in terms of this experience work-wise? Do you share anything? Well,
no,
I think clearly today you are, so this might be your new path
yeah,
opening up, because it's so true what Jerry is saying. It's such you've had such a profound experience, and for me as a healer, this is the key for you was knowing who you are, and being able to tell the difference between you and not you. And
yeah,
even though
I think that,
absolutely there would have been that battle, and sometimes I've no doubt that maybe they won,
yeah,
but you still got up and you still said, that's not who I am.
yeah,
I know I'm in a war right now, a mind war, because that's really what it is. It's a war in the mind, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
really know how to blast your brain. They really know how to turn your world upside down,
Oh,
inside out.
experts.
And you
Yeah,
still maintain that inner connection. That is your saving
yeah,
grace.
incredible.
And
it
if
is
that's,
it's amazing.
yes,
Um,
I-
You're going to be
yeah,
an inspiration to tens of thousands of people.
yeah, I hope so.
absolutely.
It's a very, I felt really isolated, and you know what I mean. I hope it helps somebody, because
Oh, no
I
doubt.
know
will.
it turned my life around, but I hope you know what I mean. I don't know. I feel like I have so much spirituality bottled up in me that never comes out, because I just live the normal 9 to 5 day, and I hold.
Well, clearly God has had a plan for you,
Yeah.
and that was apparent a long time ago. So really good to hear your story, and really good,
Oh, what was I
because
going to say to you?
that's
You were mentioning about my upbringing, and I wonder if there's correlation to it, because my mom shows schizophrenic behavior. Oh yeah, she's
wow.
definitely, yes. So I don't know if they're,
Well,
you know, if there's
there is a slight correlation between that, but I think it's more due to how you are treated by the schizophrenic parent
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
that opens you up to it than any kind of
yeah.
genetic
Your psyche
anything.
is damaged for sure.
Yes, right,
Yeah, like I didn't get the normal things you should get from a parent. You know,
right.
it was real toxic.
I
too.
wanted to ask you, can you share some of your experiences there, like that maybe with your mum or your dad that you experienced as a child? Because, as you said, with you saying your mum had schizophrenic tendencies. How was that
Well,
for you?
Well, I didn't notice them when I was younger. I saw that come about when I was older. It's almost like she started to display those tendencies. She was just more of a angry, upset, closed off, narcissistic kind of personality. And then her and my dad it was toxic. They just fought all the time, they get physical, and it just wasn't a pleasant environment. Now we did the normal things like play baseball and just normal stuff, go over relatives' house, and we had a normal type family, but the dynamics of it wasn't, the inner part was very dysfunctional. But
Was there a lot of trauma to you?
There wasn't any like abuse, like physical or anything like that. It was just
Or mental?
Yeah, just no, a total narcissistic parent. You don't get validation. You're not allowed to have opinion. You're basically controlled as a kid. You don't have that liberty to develop as a regular person. It's kind of like, I'm going to govern this, and you're not going to get the things you need as a child. I kind of had to start to do that my own self, as I got older. But yeah, it's been a process. Oh, another thing I wanted to say about that, when God said in that scripture, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind. And I used to think it was like the spirit, like, oh, God's spirit. But honestly, as I've grown, I feel like it's our spirit, like you were talking. Our spirit is that pure spirit that's connected to God, that doesn't have fear,
Yes.
that is love, and it's
Yes.
sound. And if you can if you
Yes.
can take this mind and connect to that, that's
Yeah.
what you get. You know what I mean? I think that's the essence of who we are. And those entities want to take you away from that. You know, they want you to, they don't want you to discover that really who you are, you're connected to
Right.
God. You're a child of God. And
That's why the Mace psychotherapy works, because it makes that connection. It clears that connection.
Yeah.
Question, yeah. Did your parents harbor these entities and made you prone to harboring them? If you like with your schizophrenic mom, and I would imagine your father. I mean, you can't come back from an experience like that and have that kind of PTSD without having some kind of a hitchhiker as well, right?
Oh, yeah. My dad he was real distant. He was good to me. He wasn't mean, abusive, but he's distant. Just like it was like he wasn't there, and I get it. He was traumatized, but yeah, my mom, I wouldn't say I saw those entities like to the degree I see them now in her. Like, and I don't know if it's because I'm older and I can identify them, but she was just more angry, self-centered, and controlling,
Full time.
But now she's got schizophrenic. She'll talk back to people. She thinks she went through a big period. She thought people were following her, and wrote a book. And she would put cameras up. She thinks everyone's after her. And yeah, so I don't know if those develop for her later.
Have you been able to communicate with her at all about this?
No,
she's just shut you out like a wall.
Oh, yeah. She won't let you talk about anything, deep at all.
Well, they know who you are now.
Yeah,
they want nothing to do with you.
Oh yeah, it's weird. It's almost like you're walking at a different level. Like you leveled up. You're just like,
I know what you're talking about.
Mess with you.
When I'm sorry, I want to just clarify that. Are you saying you and your mum don't talk?
We talk, but it's the typical narcissistic stuff. I just pretty much gray rocker, and you can't get close.
She's unreachable.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I know what to expect, and there would be no talking to her on this level to get her to even look at it like that. She doesn't look at herself at all, and you can't. It's a typical. She's a real hard narcissist, so it's a typical. You have to just gray rock, accept that you're not going to get anything from her, and and I just do my duty basically as a son. Really, I mean that's basically where it's at. No you can't have the emotion like you want, but
yeah, absolutely. I think it's, and again, I must say, I commend you for that, because it's very difficult dealing with a parent who's like that. And you're constantly getting that rejection.
Yeah.
You've got to be very strong in your own inner being to be able to withstand that. It's interesting now, because my mom has dementia and I care for her. And I've been here for 6 years, going on 7 years now. And it's been bad. Well, she kind of got it about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And it's such an interesting journey for me, because dementia, definitely there's schizophrenia, right? So I know how to deal with that now when they start getting the voices and they start seeing the things. So I know how to deal with it spiritually as well. But wow, suddenly out of the blue, such anger and such, I call it the dementia rage, that comes out of nowhere and accuses me of stuff and speaks to me like she did when I was 4 years old. And absolutely speaks down and triggers everything in me that 4-year-old kid could not say. But I want to tell you, that is such a healing journey for me, because what it's done for me, it's made me not react. It's made me sit with that and grow in my own spirit to
Yeah.
know that this is my way of healing. I mean, I'm a healer, heal thyself. And
Yeah.
there are certain things, obviously, that would be triggered, right? And boy, oh boy, does this trigger sometimes. Mostly it's fine, but every now and again, she'll
Oh,
give
yeah.
me a golden one, boy, and
They know
I
how to
go
get to the
flying in. Yeah, and I'm like, whoa, Mom, did you just say that? Okay, let me breathe. But it's amazing that. So, you know, to take that, you know, to roll with those punches when someone has this type of schizophrenia, dementia, because dementia, definitely there's elements of schizophrenia up to 100%. And you're dealing with all sorts of things there. So, wow, it's very interesting that,
Yeah.
you know, I also see if we prepared to receive the healing in these situations, there's healing in everything. There's
Yeah.
healing in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, I think you got to really want it too, you know, you got to really want the healing.
Yeah.
I think people
For
in this
sure.
spot, people in this, especially what we're talking about, if you don't want it, you know what I mean? It's got to be all heart. You got to give it your all to get out of that situation. You can't, there's no really half doing it, you know, that's what I would tell people, you know, you can't half do it because you're not messing with something that you got the power to overcome yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Wow. Very interesting. I just want to say, I mean, like the other day, she says to me, "You just being a bloody brat again." I was like, what? Did you just say that to me? What?
Yeah, just when you think you're beyond it.
Exactly right. I mean, like, I'm 60 years old. For F's sake, my mother's still calling me a brat. I was like, I didn't even remember she used to call me that, but suddenly I remembered, boy. But the velocity with which it's like, I know that's not you, Mom. So I went and I said, "Where's my mother? You are not my mother. This is not my mother speaking to me now." That's how I handled that. So she looked at me, and I looked her straight in the eye. I looked at her straight in the eye, but with love. I wasn't angry. I said, "Where's my mother? You're not my mother. What have you done with her? I want my mother back." And she came back.
Oh, good.
She came back. She came back. She came back. She did. And since then, she's been fine. And then when I saw afterwards, and she said to me, "I feel a lot better today. And thank you for everything you do for me."
Oh, wow.
That's a pleasure for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. She'll disappear for like a week every now and again. And then she comes back.
You know, when I was working in the geriatric center doing psych evals there, they had something called sundowners. Sundowners.
Wow.
Sundowners. When the sun went down, these guys got much more violent and volatile.
Wow. There's a reality. That's a truth.
Yes, that's the truth. It would happen all the time. They called it sundowner syndrome. As soon as the sun went down, those entities jumped in there and they just went berserk.
Wow.
Wow.
They probably don't
There's
like that.
There's an actual diagnosis for it.
Wow. That's crazy. I could see where that would be like that because it seems like they don't like the quiet either. You know what I mean? That if I remember right, like they're not going to let you have any peace laying there. You know what I mean?
No.
It's like, oh, you think you're going to lay down there and have a good, a nice restful session? No, we're not going to let that happen.
No, they want that energy. They want to keep you as upset and paranoid as they possibly can because they're feeding off of those negative emotions.
And they want you in their arena. You know what I mean? That's where they want you in their arena. If you can stay out of their arena, that's a big step. If you can say, I'm not getting in you, I'm not, and they try to make you seem like you're just, you're, not strong enough, not smart enough to engage with them. But in reality, you're doing what you need to do. And basically, I'm not going there. I'm not,
Well, what advice
as soon as you do, it's over. They'll take you down a path of you'll be arguing in your head for 20 minutes You know,
Could you describe their arena for the people who don't understand? Hey, don't go to their arena. What would their arena look like?
I would say it's in your head, but it's separate. You know, it's their playground. They're there. They're doing it. If you can keep yourself, you know, in tune to you and what you know your reality, and just ignore that area. You know, just act like it's off zone. It's off limits. You know, that's kind of what I did. I acted like it's just off limits. I'm not going there because you know you pay a price every time you did. You know, I learned early on that you try to talk. You know, you try to step in there, and I would say it's a separate part of you. Once you're in tune with yourself, once you realize they're
not you.
They're, I would say that's their arena. It's there. It's going on, and you just don't want any part of that. You know, you don't want to step in there and be like, hey.
What price did you pay when you did step into their arena?
Oh, yeah, that's why I did. That's why I learned you don't do it, because they drag you to the ringer. You'll be arguing with yourself. You'll be angry. You'll be confused as can be about something that they are twisting. To you're like, how we even get here? It would be like a complete narcissist if you ever dealt with one. They'll have you in crazy land. You know what I mean? You're like, how did I even get in crazy land here? What, you know? Why did I say something to you? I don't know if you like the narcissistic dynamics, but you know, you'll go, they'll start a conversation with you, and you think it's about this, but then they take you to crazy world, and you're arguing about all this insanity, and all along you just made that step to you know, gave them the time to converse. In reality, you need to just say, no, I'm not going there. With those entities, you know, you basically have to treat them like a extreme narcissist. You know, I'm not going there with
engage.
You. Yeah, because they'll try to bait you. You know, they'll try to bait you into things.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they're crazy.
Do you find them throwing different things at you to try to get you to take the hook?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and like I said, I'm speaking from years ago, but it's so vivid still. And yeah, it would be, they would fish for things, you know, like if I was into a certain theology or something, they would pull a thought from that and get me, I would engage with it, you know, like, well, I wonder, you know, what the book of Genesis was talking about here. And then next thing you know, they're cursing God, or they're trying to get me to curse, you know, just, I don't know, little tactics to get you to basically get in their game, you know.
And how could you tell whether you were being baited or not? How could you tell the difference between you and the bait they were throwing at you?
It was hard, but with my situation, I had identified it because it was so intense and so frequent. And the majority of my thoughts were, I should ignore at that point. You know what I mean? So then I would just go with the thoughts that I was pretty much 100% were me, you know, like, you know, I'm this, I think this, I feel this, I think that, and everything else. I just was like, you know, I'm not even going there, you know, but it's hard to decipher between the two, because they're very, they're crafty and they mimic you. So you know, you think it's your thoughts, and you think you're just bouncing things around in your head. You know, I mean, I could easily see where someone would think they're, you know, just, you know, how naturally in our heads we'll try to, you know, resolve something, or, you know, we'll go back and forth with ourselves to come to a conclusion. They operate like that on the regular. You know, they kind of use that same technique, disguising themselves as your own conscious, you know what I mean? And just try to get you into that. And
what did you find to be the most successful means of differentiating you from them? Is there one thing in particular, or a couple of things in particular? I think one is the intent. Their intent is always negative and destructive.
Exactly. That would be a big one. Their nature is just negative. The intensity level too, because I knew like I started seeing my own thought patterns versus theirs, if that makes sense. And theirs was always intense, spiteful, came out of nowhere. You know, I got familiar with it, you know, the difference between my own and theirs. And it was easier for me to just ignore it, you know, because I'm like,
and it was always negative.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was always negative. And then you could start to see their tactics too, trying to bait you and stuff. And it wouldn't appear as negative at first, but you knew, as soon as you respond or go there, you knew what was waiting,
Did
So,
they ever
yeah,
did they ever try to act like they were your friends and they could do something
yeah.
special for you?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that, because
Oh, yeah.
that's one of their most successful baits for new people, especially playing with Ouija boards. They show up and they, oh yeah, we can help you. We can tell you stuff that you don't know. And tell us your experience with them baiting you in that way.
It would probably be more on the lines of like acting like some of those other thoughts, because they knew that I knew they were foreign, were the bad guys, but this one is a good guy. You can listen to me, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I remember that type of experience where they would come in and act like, hey, I'm here to help you, but those guys, look out for. But you still knew it was them.
Good cop, bad cop.
You still knew it was them.
So they didn't fool you.
Yeah.
Well, they fool a lot of people that way, though.
Yeah,
they fool a lot of people. How did you tell the difference?
Well, I think because I was like Chantel was saying, in tune with myself and in the connection with God I had, and I just sought God and Scripture and just learned to ignore it. So I started. It's almost like when you start to meditate. If you're into meditation, you start to connect with your real self. And you start to see like everything starts to change. You start to see who you really are and what thoughts aren't really yours, and what views you thought were yours weren't really your views. It's kind of like that when you just you're so anchored to yourself that you start to be able to see, what's really you and what's not. And I think that's what kind of helped me.
Now, do you have any advice for people who wouldn't be as anchored as you were to who you really are? I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't that anchored and they just get swept up by these things.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I would say don't believe what's going through your head, and don't play their game. If you can get to the point where you ignore it and then start to work on yourself, I think you can and identify yourself and them somehow, whatever meditation, whatever spiritual practice, God, and really get in tune with that aspect of you and that. And then I think you may be able to start to see what to ignore, but yeah, I would say just don't go, if you're being assaulted like that, just don't listen to it. Just ignore it.
Yeah. Ignore it.
No good. It's no good. Just ignore it like it is the worst advice you ever got. Act like what they are, they're just evil people that, you wouldn't want to talk to an evil person. You wouldn't want to, you wouldn't want to have I wouldn't want to have a conversation with someone who's going to destroy me. That's kind of what you're dealing with. You just got to treat your thoughts like
they want to destroy you.
Yeah, you got to treat your thoughts like what they really are. This is not good.
They're dangerous.
Yeah.
So once you hit that level, there's no other way but up.
Oh yeah.
You got nowhere else to go except death.
Oh,
that's it. Once you're on that path, if you don't turn around and move in the other direction, they'll kill you. They will kill you.
100%.
Like I said, they kill 50,000 people a year in the United States alone. And in Canada, they have voluntary suicide. You can go to a doctor and say, I don't want to live anymore, and they'll kill you for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely tragic.
Yeah,
I believe, honestly, I truly believe that they're doing that especially for the military vets, because they don't want those guys around.
Yeah.
That's for the military veterans. And they are absolutely encouraging that. I'm actually going to be doing a show on that soon.
Good for you.
It does seem like they are being like oppressed on so many levels. If you look at
just talk
totally. It's
trauma,
tragic.
Maybe the trauma, or some may even feel betrayed with their service too, to the military.
Lots of that. I mean, when we're looking at, on this channel, we dig into the underbelly, and you look at the shadow military and what these guys do and what they have to do, and some of the programming they go through,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
these are the guys
traumatized.
that they come out of special forces, and
My
then
dad
of course
my dad
they've
was
got
special forces. He was an army ranger.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then often these are the guys that they try and unalive, because the guys then try and get away from this whole nefarious life of undercover black ops, because that's ultimately what they're doing, many of them, and they try and get away from it, and then they get hunted.
And it's
and everything gets taken away.
Oh yeah, and it's so unnatural to kill another person. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
does something to
Right.
the psyche. I don't care if
It's
you're
evil.
Yeah, and that I think every human being knows it and feels it. They might be like programmed to think, they're killers, but I think when they do it, because I know my dad, he saw that kind of, he was 3 tours and he couldn't even talk about. So I think it does something to those veterans too.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Because it's not natural to kill.
Totally.
It's not a natural thing. And
They serve their country and then they kill them.
yeah,
I mean, that's just hideous on
Exactly.
the part of Canada. It's just disgusting.
It's always disgusting. But
Yeah.
it's not just there. That's the sad truth. It's everywhere. When
Yeah.
you look at even, the military, that was supposedly keeping us protected from all the terrorists all these years. I mean, I can't tell you how many young guys were unalived from the age of 17 to 20 over that time. But now when you're looking at why these wars start, and we look at the whole Tartaria thing, so we're going down a whole different conspiracy here. We see that literally, and if you look at this, wars were started to take men away. Many, many, many men were killed in wars that left women and children alone. Then if you look at the turn of the century, those women were locked up under the Lunacy Act. Once their husbands died in the war, they were locked up under the Lunacy Act because they were too crazy to raise their kids. Those kids were then sent out and adopted out and started there's a lot of the orphan trains. We hear about the orphan trains. That's where it comes from. So this is how these guys, through war, have been separating and breaking our family system apart. When we understand what they're doing, it's like you seeing the monsters, those dodgy things from above and going, okay, that's what they're doing. When we see what these guys have been up to, then we know what we're dealing with. It's like you knew what you were dealing with there.
Yeah.
Now we also know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So, this abuse has been going on for the longest time, and it really has to change.
Tens of thousands of years.
Their nature is
Absolutely.
that steal, kill, and destroy.
Yes, they hate the human race. They
nature.
absolutely hate the human race.
Yeah, and you see it, like you said, in the governments, and they're being influenced by these same entities.
Exposed now.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
Well, little bit by little bit, we will do our bit here as well. And Jerry, thank you so much I know you've been on the show. I think it must be like 2 years now, Jerry.
I forgot how long. When you said, Lynn was last year, I'm like, last year?
Years fly.
2 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, right.
That blew my head. I'm like, it seemed like yesterday,
Well, thank you so much for everything you do, Jerry, in terms of creating awareness, exposing the medical mafia and all of their shenanigans. I really, really appreciate that. And every month you come and you share. And Jeff, thank you so much for joining us again on the first time you're on a podcast. Thank you so much. And wow, what a great show. I really, really, really appreciate you guys joining me.
Yeah,
so thank you. And Jeff, I really hope you continue. And I don't know, is there any way people can get hold of you if you'd like? I mean, if they want to, are you taking calls? Are you taking emails?
I haven't
Are
even.
you hiding? Are you hiding still?
I don't have anything right now to where somebody could do that, but I could in the future.
Okay, well,
I'll do what I can to get his message out.
If you can get my email, you can give my emails and stuff like that. I don't care.
Yeah, well, your message is critically important for the world, the entire planet to hear.
Yeah.
And I don't mind sharing it. So it's, like I said, this is a relief to be able to even talk about it.
Well, I'll do what I can to get you an audience.
Well, certainly. And I mean, absolutely. I would love to have you on again and just share your story again, more further details if you want to do that. It's a very important and very inspirational story for our mental health audience.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people have suffered from this. They've grown up with a lot of trauma. I know that because even though a lot of the viewers don't talk on the show as survivors, I know many of them are survivors that have had similar kind of stuff. So this is really a great conversation that we've had, and I will definitely like to invite you back in the future again.
Sure.
So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Jeff. Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. And for the psychiatric mafia who accused me of not having a peer review for the material that I've been talking about for decades, here's your peer review right down there below me, Jeff. He's my peer, and he's the review. I agree with everything he said. I've seen it thousands of times, and I'm appreciative that he's brave enough to come out and actually bring it out and tell people about it.
Yeah, that's awesome because you do feel alone, and I'm glad it's it's part of your work and it's a reality for your work because up until really I saw your work, I
get that from a lot of people too. They come, they say, I've been so alone, nobody understands. You're the first person who understands what I'm talking about. They talk about going to psychiatrists, trying to talk to them, and they get shut down and given pills and issued out of the office and charged $200-300.
Come out with less money and worse.
Yeah, I just had somebody yesterday give me that story again for like the millionth time.
Yeah, it's a sad situation when you think of the big picture and how many people suffer with it. That probably
for sure. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you guys.
And I'll keep touch with you.
Okay, yeah, do that. And if you need info from me, just let me know.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
All right, you did great.
Absolutely.
Bye.
All right,
thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Jeff. Take care, everybody. And thank you so much for joining us for this great conversation. Like, share, subscribe. This is definitely a show that we need to get out there. And in the meantime, have a beautiful weekend. We will see Dr. Jerry back in the month again, and I will definitely be chatting to Jeff, have a follow-up show with him as well, because this is important info. Take care, everybody. God bless you all. Be cool, be kind, and just stay chill. Mwah.